Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing great today. Yeah, I missed you guys like crazy, man. I know you missed me as well. It's been such a long time, man. I've received dozens of emails, people asking, Brother Joe, what happened? Where are you? What happened to you? No update on YouTube and stuff like that. Well, I actually traveled. I went on a long trip for both work and vacation. But before I went on my trip for work and vacation, YouTube had already put me on timeout for one whole week. That's actually the first silence you got from me was from YouTube putting me on timeout because they went into the pool of videos that I have made in 2021 and decided that a video they had already approved and had no problem with, that they now have a problem with it in the later part of 2022. I don't know why, but that was it. They took the video, they yanked it off, they applied a strike on my channel, and that was it. They put me on timeout for 1 week. So it was within that 1 week that I made the plans for my trip, and then I traveled, and then I didn't have any opportunity to update us again. But I am back, and my vacation trip was very eventful. It was amazing, to the point that I'm actually going to be sharing a lot of videos of my tour highlights with us. It's really going to come in the form of video series or something, but I want to show you some of the daring things that I did, some of the scary things that I did, and some of the things I discovered about Africa. You know, I love Africa so much. My favorite tour destination is Africa, and I'm going to share amazing stuff with you. So maybe after this video, we are going to be having those videos launched on my channel so you can understand how amazing and how blessed we are to be Africans and to be blessed with a continent that is so green and rich that many of us don't even know it. All right. Now, before that video comes, I have seen a lot of things happening on the international scene, and I know that I have not really updated us on what is going on between Russia and Ukraine for a very long time. So let me tell you what I know as of this moment. Remember, when this war broke out in February of this year, I remember sharing a couple of videos with us for people who took the time to watch. And I said to us, before the war breaks out, here is what you need to know about who fired the first shot. Because I know that the mainstream media would eventually inundate the masses with lies that will make your brain sick. You believe in the saying that there is no smoke without fire, but you don't believe that it is impossible for Russia to just wake up and invade a sovereign nation unprovoked out of nowhere. People have been showing you all the things that happened that provoked Russia. You don't want to listen. I am not a pro-Russian person. I have said this countless times, and I don't even owe anybody any explanation. But I have said it several times. If you place Russia and Ukraine, the first place I go to is Ukraine. I have a history with Ukraine, not Russia. And I'm saying this to you from the bottom of my heart. I genuinely feel more affiliated with Ukraine than Russia at any point for any reason. But the truth is that there is a regime that is in Kiev that has allied itself with the West, and they are telling lies. And you know, I am very allergic to lies. Okay, so here's what has happened. For people who do not know, in July of this year, there was this grain export deal that was entered into between Russia and Ukraine. It was brokered by the United Nations and Turkey. And so they signed a deal, even though Kiev, Ukraine said they don't want to have their signature on the same paper with Russia. So they signed the deal separately with Russia, with Turkey and UN, and Russia signed another deal separately with Turkey and UN. And so they lifted the ban on Ukraine grain shipment so that Ukraine could ship their grains that were accumulated in the storage. So they opened the Black Sea and allowed the grains to go. And Russia says, look, I have a worry here. What if these ships that are carrying Ukrainian grains go out and they return with weapons for Ukraine? Or they say, oh no, don't worry about that. Let us all have a joint patrol team at the JCC so that when the ships return and they want to go to Ukraine, we'll stop them at the point when they are in Turkey and inspect them and be sure that they're not carrying anything. And so based on the fact that this deal they entered into for Ukraine grain shipment also has something like cessation of hostilities attached to it, Russia kind of slowed down a little bit on hostilities. It kind of laid down arms in some areas, even though fighting was still going on. But then they sent their Chechens, the Chechens who came to fight and defeated and took over Mariupol, they sent them home. They went home. Some of their contingent were sent home, and they just left only few pockets of soldiers in some of the regions that they had taken from Ukraine. And while they were there hoping that there is a deal and some type of veiled cessation of hostilities, Ukraine and the Western allies were amassing men and weapons and getting ready for a surprise attack. And that surprise attack happened recently, and when it happened, it saw Ukraine and the Western allies take or recapture 3 major cities from Russians and send the Russian soldiers running. There were very few of them. Ukraine has about 150,000 fighting men. Russia has just pockets, just a few of them there. They overwhelmed them quickly and chased them away and recaptured those 3 locations. And that sent shockwaves across the entirety of the Russian Federation. People were wondering, what happened? What happened? And the mainstream media began to gloat over the news, you can imagine. Oh, heroic Ukrainian fighters. Oh, look what they did to Putin. They beat him silly. They dealt with Putin. It's been in the news the whole time. And now when Russia looked at what has happened, because of course, Russians have been so angry with Putin. Putin kept calling this a limited military operation in Ukraine. And the Russians kept saying to him, Mr. Putin, this is nothing like limited military operation. You keep saying you want to minimize casualties. You want to minimize the destruction of life and property. But look at what the other guys are doing. They are going all out. They are destroying everything in their sight. Why are you treating this with kids' glove and the other guys are treating it as a real business? Let this be a full-blown war. Declare war on Ukraine and fight a proper war with them. Why are we doing this to ourselves? And because of your behavior, we are losing most of our soldiers. And Putin refused to listen to his people. He kept saying, no, these are our people. If we do this and do this, the casualties will be more, this and that and that. And because of that, that war had never really been declared a full-blown war. But when Ukraine and the Western allies did what they just did and took over those regions, you know what Putin now did? Putin now decided, you know what? That thing we've been running away from, we are now going to do it. And that thing he decided to do was that first of all, he went into a strategic planning for full-blown war. And that planning would now later make Putin give a go-ahead, a green light to about 4 regions that used to be part of Ukraine to actually carry out referendums and decide whether they want to join Russia or not, which of course you know that potentially that the plan is for those Russian-speaking regions in Ukraine to be able to join Russian Federation so Russia can now take those places the way it took Crimea. And so the green light was given for Kherson and Zaporizhia and 2 other locations, and then again for another part of Nikolaev. And so these 5 regions have been carrying out the referendum from September the 23rd to September 27th when it ended. And at the end of the referendums carried out in these major 4 regions and the other part of Nikolaev, what we have today as a result is that overwhelmingly the people have now voted to join Russia to become a part of the Russian Federation. And so Russia has now said it to all who care to know that any more attack on these regions, on Zaporizhia and Kherson and the rest of them, is going to be deemed as an attack on Moscow. It means that Russia's nuclear doctrine will now apply to these regions. And what does that mean? What it means is that anybody who attacks these regions, that Russia can respond in kind with nuclear weapons. Before the referendum, Russia couldn't do that. But because of what Ukraine had done with the West, Russia sees this as the height of provocation and decided, you know what? What I can see now is potentially a nuclear armed struggle with the West. Because Russia is not unaware of the fact that they are involved in a proxy war with the United States of America. They know. So what is going on is that Russia has said, you know what? Since the nuclear war we've been avoiding is basically what is staring us in the face now, because the moment, like I put in most of my videos, the moment you push Russia in a corner, you push them to a corner, Russia is going to respond with nuclear, because that's one thing they know they have in excess. So if you push them in a corner and box them into a corner, there's no way they're not going to use the nuclear weapons. And the West right now is almost like overwhelming Russia, because Russia had actually calmed down a little bit. So Russia is only now fighting and rushing to move forces to the battlefront or battle lines. Now they have called up about 10,000 Chechens that have gone home already. They are now calling up on reserves that will come and fight with them. And because mainstream media will not tell you the truth, Russia said that their call up for reserves is actually for people who have military experience. But that's not what you're seeing out there. The same Zelensky of Ukraine, we all watched in the news every day, every night, how he forced Ukrainian men, I think between 16 or 18 to 60 years old, to stay back in the country and fight, whether you liked it or not. In fact, they had to block the border to send the men back. And this was very tyrannical. Mainstream media enjoyed it, endorsed it, and showed us men who were posing with guns and smiling and happy. But now that Russia says, I want only men who have military experience, they are showing you people fleeing Russia. So the one who forced people and said they must do it, you didn't show us how men were fleeing, but you're showing us people fleeing when Russia has not even said that every man in Russia must. They didn't use must. They said if you are a non-military person and you want to take part, we are going to accord you all the privileges that we give to other professional military men. The reserves, I repeat, are meant for men with military experience. That's what they said. You have to take them for their word. There is no record of them forcing anyone yet to come and join those guys to fight in Russia. But this is what we are seeing in the media. So after all of this have happened, they are now mustering and getting ready. Russia has not been able to send all these men to the battlefront because they are waiting for the referendums to be completed in these regions. Why was he waiting for the referendum to be completed? Because now that he knows of a certainty that there is going to be a nuclear war with the West, what does he want to do? He wants to gain more grounds so he can place his nuclear weapons in these regions that are now voting to join Russia. So Russia's nuclear weapons and military men are going to go to the Zaporizhia front, to the Kherson front, to all the other fronts that have voted already, even to the Nikolaev area. So rather than fighting from the original Russian territorial lines, they are now moving into the recaptured territories of Ukraine, and they are fighting Ukraine from within Ukraine. That within Ukraine is no longer deemed as Ukraine anymore, but now deemed as Russian Federation, just like the way Crimea became part of Russia. You see the war strategy that Putin has come up with. And that's why you haven't heard anything going on, because he was waiting for all these referendums. Now that the referendums have ended on the September 27th, you are going to see a massive movement of men and weapons into these regions that have carried down these referendums right now. And from there, Russia is now going to openly declare the war that they have been waiting for all these years on these regions. That's what is going on right now. That's why you see that everywhere is so quiet, because the battle is going to stand from there. There was something else that happened. Many of you know I've made posts about the Nord Stream 2 pipelines, yeah? The Nord Stream pipeline is Europe's pipeline to energy freedom. And when those pipelines don't function, Europe is in an energy abyss. And what has happened recently, you remember, there was a time they said it was tampered with, and Russia shut it down to put Europe under pressure. And now that the thing was shut down, you know that for it to be opened again, it will just be negotiations, and they will open it and open the tap. But now, even if you choose to open the tap, it will not happen anymore. Why? Because there has been a sabotage on those pipelines, and they've been blown up right now. Why are the pipelines blown up? The Russians are already pointing accusing fingers at the United States of America.
If Russia invades, that means tanks or troops crossing the border of Ukraine again. Then there will be no longer a Nord Stream 2.
How will you do that exactly?
I promise you we'll be able to do it.
What is all this pointing to? It's pointing to the fact that these people are intentionally manufacturing a global energy crisis that will cripple our world and put us in a COVID-like state of shutdown. Remember the COVID-19 lockdown that happened? That's what they want to bring about with this. Whoever is behind it has just intentionally and willfully destroyed the energy security of the whole of the European Union. That's what just happened. And human beings in that continent are about to walk into the harshest winter they've ever known in all of their lives. Winter is coming, and you have energy crisis like the one we are seeing today. People were already complaining about unaffordability of energy. In Germany, they're already beginning to turn off street lights. In many European countries, street lights and monument lights are going off. You're told not to use this, not to use that, or you can even go to jail. If you use certain amount of energy, you can go to jail for it. I posted along these things. They're already rationing energy to pay the people are going back to live their life like we lived in the Stone Ages because of crises that they could have prevented. Why did they not prevent it? Because they want to intentionally bring about the mass suffering of the masses so that they can, in the midst of that suffering, transition us into a very satanic way of life where we can all begin to eat bugs and eat insects. That's what they are all planning for us, because in the end, mass depopulation is the end game. I warned you, and I said, make sure, for those of you who live in Europe and America, find where they have bunkers where you can run to. Begin to store food and save your money in cash. Stock up on food. And many of you called me conspiracy theorist. Okay, I played you a video not too long ago. New York City, they simulated an event on what people must do just in case a nuclear attack happens on New York City. I played you that video. Didn't I show it to you guys? Can you imagine New York preparing for a nuclear attack? And that one didn't cut it for you. And then the city of Denver started handing out burger bags to people recently, telling them to prepare for some type of emergency just in case
Denver is now handing out free bug-out bags to help you just in case you run into emergency. Lisa D'Souza live at that free event at the Montbello Rec Center. Lisa, all right, I asked you last time. I need to know the checklist of everything I got to put in my bug-out bag.
So let's take a look at some of the items that you can get for free by coming by. You got batteries, looks like we've got some matches, a can opener, toilet paper, paper towels, toilet paper, paper towels. We've got cotton balls, and then really everything you would need from a first aid kit as well. We've got hydrogen peroxide, Band-Aids, other first aid essentials, flashlights, really all sorts of things that you could potentially need in an emergency.
And check what is inside the bags. Those things cannot sustain you for more than 2, 3, 4 days. How many foods are contained in the bags? These are just things for you to get by in case there is deep darkness and there is a nuclear cloud over the United States of America. But why are they doing this? Why is it that New York just finished making a video to prepare you for an eventuality of a nuclear attack, and Denver is handing you a bug-out bag, a bag that you carry just in case there's an emergency? Why? Because they know something that you don't know. Russia is not stupid. It's a superpower. And so when Russia had decided that the war is now about to go to the next level, which is the time where they're going to use the nuclear weapons, you should know that when the time comes that Russia isn't going to be aiming the nuclear weapons at Ukraine and Europe alone, the first place they're going to aim the weapons will be the United States of America. Why? Because Russia has seen America openly, it's not hidden, openly arming Ukrainians. What do you call that? That's proxy war. That's why Russia is becoming friendly with some of these nations that are closer to the United States of America, even sending military armaments there. You need to know this, that America knows something that they don't want to let the rest of the people know because they feel they are going to create panic and fear. That's why New York and Denver, and if care is not taken, another city is also going to simulate another event where there's an attack, and then they will tell you, oh, you must do this and do that so you can stay safe. But while they're doing all of this, what are you doing? What are you thinking? What are you saying? Are you still there saying, oh, these fearmongers, all these conspiracy theories? No, what are you doing? Must you sit down and let the mainstream media spoon feed you with lies and hearsays when you can actually research on your own? Don't take my word for it. Go do your own research and find out the truth for yourself. They are about to bring this world to its knees because we are living in the end times. How many times am I going to scream this into your ears? I can't do any more than this. You need to wake up, man. You need to wake up. For Russia to take this action, they're ready for the nuclear war. Calling up 300,000 reserves, they said in the news that this is the first time since the World War that Russia was involved in that they would call up this number of men to war. The first time since the World War. What does that tell you? It tells you that another world war is in the horizon. Is it very difficult to piece all these things together? Is it that difficult to connect the dots? Okay, if it is too difficult, I've connected it for you. There you have it. What then do you do now? Prepare yourself. We are living in the end times, whether you like it or not, whether it scares you or not. It is the end times. It is the end times. Our world is going through a very traumatic transition. And if you're not prepared psychologically, you're going to get lost in the wave of it. That's why I exist. That's why I'm here. That's why I do all the things I do. It's not like I'm a perfect guy or the best guy, but I think God just found me an available tool that He can use to warn you, to tell you the truth ahead of time. That's why I'm telling you the truth. They can tell you all the lies they want to tell you on mainstream media. I will always tell you the truth. The day I lose the ability to tell the truth, you will stop seeing my face and hearing my voice. But as long as I live, I'll tell you the truth when I have the ability and the opportunity to do so. I want you to prepare yourself, man. Get yourself ready. Put your money in cash form and store it. People who live in Nigeria can attest to this fact that even getting access to dollars right now is hell. Even if you have $100,000 in the bank, go and ask them to give you even a quarter of it. In Nigeria, I have my information right. You will find out that a tiny fraction of your own money cannot even come to you. It's happening. Remember, the Vatican recently just said that every single thing that belongs to the Vatican, asset in liquid and solid, every single one of it should be returned to the Vatican Bank before the 30th of September. Why? Because these guys are planning so many things against humanity. We need to be very careful, guys. We serve a living God. It is only on Him that I put my trust. And so my family and I will always prepare. And we will always trust Him to give us the navigational wisdom to make our move when we need to make it before it is too late. That's what happens when you prepare. God comes into your preparation and helps you to make the right move when the time comes. And He will make provisions for you. He can do it. And I trust Him to do it for you. And all those who may not have the means to do what they need to do when the time is still there. I pray that God will make it happen for you and that He will keep all of us from all this wickedness that they are brewing and preparing for our world. Love you with my heart, as always. So God bless you.